listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's WWE Monday Night Raw After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE Monday Night Raw After Show.
Yeah, big smiles on everybody's face right now. Yeah, I started up a trend and now the pressure's on. Birdie, 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 it's a shout out to my mom. It's AfterBuzz TV and we're buzzing after Raw. We're brought to you by Bing, a search engine with no flaw. My name is Ryan Katz, but I go by many names. GQ Money, Rixelplix, and Smiley. It's all just the same. My co-host full of morals, authoritative, he's the colonel. His name is Ryan Clum. His love of wrestling is eternal. The super fan, the Superman, he makes the girls hot and flustered. Clum may be the colonel, but Josh Padgett brings the mustard. To the couch, the social lounge, to the dessert course of this dinner. Cupcake Sweeten reads the tweet. Cathy Kelley is a winner. That's the crew up on the cams, previewing all the slams. Pinfalls 1, 2, 3. We're buzzing after Raw on AfterBuzz TV.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I'm just noticing the new couch.
It's a nice black couch. The social lounge is looking very, very nice. Looking sexy, dare I say. Yeah.
Sexy black couch.
And what's on the couch? I mean, I was trying to throw a compliment out there, but at the same time, you don't want to accept it. It's fine. We are buzzing after Raw from Atlanta, Georgia, in the Phillips Arena.
We're in Atlanta, Georgia?
Well, we're not. We're at the studios in lush, palatious Encino, California.
We're in parts unknown.
But we're recapping some Monday Night Raw action.
Yes, sir.
And I got to be up front and honest right from the get-go. Mr. Showtime, Miss Cupcake, and myself, we missed the first hour of the broadcast. It didn't actually record.
Yeah.
Yeah, DVR issues.
And I count on you for the notes now, so my notes haven't been as good. So since I was the only one watching,
I think it's Cupcake's fault, but I thought she was in charge of technology here.
She is the official employee, so
we should blame her.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
I mean, and now I'm getting all hot and flustered myself, like the girls that look at Josh Padgett over there. I got some sweat dripping off my brow.
You should have called me. I could have given you a feed to my Sling box.
The Sling box feed.
I could have just given you my password. You could have jumped online.
We're gonna jump into this broadcast momentarily, but I mean, I want to go over this weekend. You know, we got some great
that's right.
Later in the broadcast tonight, a little tease for later,
which we were terrible and forgot to promote last week.
I know, but we have a very special guest coming into the studio. Former Ring of Honor World Champion, a wrestler who some may say Britain's greatest wrestler. Nigel McGuinness will be in studio to talk about his new DVD, The Last of McGuinness. This is going to be a great interview. This is going to be for any wrestling fans. You're going to want to tune in and take a listen to what Nigel has to say.
Yeah.
But Mr. Morals, Mr. Clum, Mr. Colonel, we had a weekend of wrestling action this weekend.
I had a good weekend of wrestling action, a successful weekend.
You did end up getting the win somehow.
Absolutely.
But Mr. Engineer,
and a vicious clothesline that almost hurt Josh Padgett.
I don't know about this clothesline
from the seats.
But Mr. Engineer, if we could run this clip of Ryan Morals from Millennium Pro Wrestling.
Again?
I mean, you talk about a vicious clothesline. All I see right here is you running into your tag team partner. Right? Why'd you run into your partner? You just out of nowhere. You just decided to run into your partner.
I was pushed into my
I didn't see anyone push you. I just saw you run into him.
Mario Banks, who, by the way, was trained by you.
He was trained by me.
Pushing me into my partner.
$1 million dream. I don't show it, but actually your tag team partner gets the roll up right there. And there, look at him. He's all happy. He got the win right there. Look at him. Look at him. Yeah. Myself, I was supposed to defend my Millennium Pro Maximum Championship.
Yeah, and who did you pay to get out of that?
Well, I didn't pay anyone, man. I was trying to go wrestle. I was going to show myself, prove myself as a fighting champion in the heart and spirit of someone like Nigel McGuinness who would fight while injured. And if we're going to exit the full screen mode, apparently. And here I come, championship belt down. I'm hobbling to the ring, but I'm ready to fight Ryan Clum. I am ready for action. But as you see, Millennium Pro Wrestling executives wouldn't allow me to compete because they got my medical records. Couldn't compete. But then I came out during Brawl and Bo Cooper's match, observed. I'm on the ringside apron right there. Hector Canales hits Bo Cooper with the cane. But then some crazy dust in the air over there came out of like my vicinity, and look, I cost Bo Cooper the win right there.
That's awful that you would do that to Bo Cooper.
350-pound Bo Cooper, he's nothing.
Bo Cooper,
he's a sissy man.
Bo Cooper actually said some very nice things about me this weekend, so that's terrible that you would do that to Bo.
Just got a text message from my roommate who told me that my dog just pooped in my roommate's room. What are you gonna do? All right, we start off the broadcast with the Raw recap. We see a recap of the Shield's beatdown of John Cena from last week, and we also get the recap of the Vince-Paul Heyman interaction, not to mention the Brock Lesnar return, which is setting up the mood for tonight, because will Brock Lesnar be on the broadcast? That's what we're all wondering.
Yeah, because he broke the hip of Mr. McMahon.
He broke the hip of Mr. McMahon, who we found out underwent hip surgery this morning.
Today, yeah.
To try to recover that. I mean, Brock Lesnar's an intimidating man.
And we were shown this clip probably about 8 times within the 3 hours of the show. And like none of us saw it last week, but yeah, it was a good reminder. I love that stuff. The Attitude Era type stuff. You're dun, dun, dun. You don't have that anymore.
Yeah, those video packages are always awesome.
So good.
I love watching them. Their editors are amazing.
SmackDown was upset with how many packages they got this last week. Our new crew of SmackDown AfterBuzz hosts.
There were a lot of packages. No, there were a lot of recaps, but honestly, I feel like it was a really strong
Wasn't there something about packages last week, too, Josh kept talking about?
she was talking about recaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh, continue.
I mean, you were talking about...
I didn't know I got to talk.
Well, we can.
Well, the people online are complaining that we don't let you talk enough.
I know.
So,
all right, CM Punk makes his way to the ring to actually start the live broadcast. Said he's had a week to digest the situation, and he wonders if he overreacted to the situation of losing the belt. But he said, if you think that he overreacted, you've obviously never held the WWE Championship or even accomplished anything of significance in your life.
never held anything so dear as the WWE Championship.
Yeah, he said the championship was stolen from him, and it's now held by someone that doesn't deserve it, doesn't pay the price, and doesn't understand what it means to be a WWE champion. Punk's furious.
I think he's got a legit complaint.
I mean, you could say he has a legit complaint. I mean, he kind of was screwed, but I don't think
he was kind of screwed. I mean, it's wrestling. It's wrestling, and people get screwed.
Kind
of
screwed, because remember that stipulation was said that he was going to be stripped of the title if the Shield interfered, and the lights went out, and you could say we don't know if it's the Shield. Photo evidence has surfaced online,
and we don't know.
It was the Shield who made the attack.
It was, and we don't. And even though we could have said, well, Vince had no proof, we don't know when Vince got that proof. He could have had it before, and that's why he said it. You know, he just hadn't revealed that. So it makes sense.
Well, Punk has demanded that he wants to be known as the people's champion right now because he, in fact, is a champion of the people, unlike The Rock, who's off shooting movies, commercials, and doing whatever.
And supposedly he was doing that all weekend at the house shows, I think, was going on mic and calling himself the people's champ.
Yeah. And you know what? Since he's lost the title, he looks a lot more well rested than he has, and he looks. He does puffy.
Actually.
He looks a lot healthier.
The eyes look better.
The pressure is off. I mean, there's a lot of pressure of when you're the champion. That means ratings fall on your shoulders. PR and media relations falls on your shoulder. You got a lot of extra work to be done if you're the champion. You got a lot of pressure and anxiety. And sometimes you got to step up and you lose the sleep. And now we see with only a week and a half since or so, he's got a little bit more rest.
And he had a year with that thing. So
more than a year.
More than a year. 14 months about
something like that.
Longest reign in 25 years. So that's.
And he mentioned Rocky's movies and stuff that he's doing. Anyone who was watching the Super Bowl yesterday saw the Fast and the Furious 6 trailer that The Rock's in.
And a milk commercial.
And a milk commercial, which was pretty awesome. That Fast and Furious, if you go frame by frame on YouTube, you'll see a doomsday device. I'm talking Road Warriors, doomsday device. I think Vin Diesel has a guy on his shoulders, and Rock is flying through the air.
Nice.
Boom! I'm like, what is this? Awesome. Check it out, everyone, if you haven't seen it already.
What are you laughing at over there?
No, he's just getting really excited.
He's excited about it. He loves
Kathy. Kathy
up.
doesn't know what the doomsday device is.
One of the greatest finishers ever, Kathy.
Oh.
By
Tag
the
team
greatest
maneuver.
tag team ever.
Road
arguably.
Warriors, the Legion of Doom. Animal would hoist his opponent on his shoulders, electric chair position, while Hawk climbed the top turnbuckle, perched high on that top rope, leaping through the air, body extended, parallel to the canvas's surface, connecting with the clothesline, sending the opponent crashing inside out, flipped head over feet. Until they hit the bottom. It actually broke the neck of a Godwin at one point.
Did it? Yeah, it was vicious looking. Those guys were nasty.
What a rush.
Remember what I'll never forget as a kid when they pulled the spike, and I forget who they spiked in the eye with that thing, but that was nasty.
Dusty Rhodes.
Was it Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah. It was Dusty. Anyway, CM Punk turned his attention to the Paul Heyman Shield Brad Maddox video, and essentially saying to the crowd, I mean, I'm being lumped into this, situation that I'm involved and I'm in cahoots with them, but did you see me in the video? And he goes around to the fans and said, hey, did you see me in the video? And they can't help but say, no, you weren't in the video. And he says, well, if Paul Heyman's denying that he was involved in the video, then obviously he has nothing to do with it as well. CM Punk, he's a man who stands alone. Has nothing to do with it. Not in cahoots with the Shield. Not in cahoots with Brad Maddox. No. And if Heyman did something,
and if Heyman says that it wasn't him, then it wasn't him.
I believe him. Yes.
That's what Punk said. Yeah.
Then turns his attention to Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar, saying that Vince got the karma that he deserved, the broken hip that he deserved. And and it was rightfully so. I'm just going off on what not bad on a recap for something I didn't see.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed.
Says that he's the real champ and he will grant Rock a rematch at Elimination Chamber. And although he may not have the championship, he still maintains the title as the People's Champion, and his reign is still ongoing.
I think he actually said even though he doesn't have the belt, I think they actually kind of did that inside little.
I didn't say it because I didn't want to get in trouble with the corporation.
Right. He said that a few times tonight. He kind of said that he's the champion and he has the true championship, and he called it a strap once that Rock has.
Wow.
He called what Rock has the strap and the belt. So a little bit inside that we all know Vince hates those terms. So basically saying what Rock has isn't the true championship. He has it. That's just a belt.
Can you dig it, sucker? Because Booker T's music hits.
The managing manager of General is out.
Yeah, that's what it was. He stumbled his words a little bit.
I hear that. I hear a little error, a little flub.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? The managing manager of General?
The managing manager of General.
Tell me he did not just say that. But apparently he did. But he tells CM Punk that he's going to face a past WrestleMania opponent of his. And it's going to be a Raw active segment that the people, the fans, the WWE universe they'll be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
If they have the application. And I hear then there was
three good ones too.
I heard there was a nice long tutorial on how to use the app that happened a couple of times at this point.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention during that
People
part.
were complaining about how much the app was being plugged tonight.
And I think it's not even just how much it's plugged, that they actually kept doing a tutorial on how to use it, where every person who has a cell phone understands how to use an app generally.
I don't think my grandma would understand, but Then again,
Well, but she's not going to vote. The people who are going to vote are going to know how to do
I
it.
thought it was funny. Last time I was home and I was flipping through on my mom's iPad and I saw that she had the WWE app. And I was like, that's hysterical to me.
Yeah, my mom went back and listened to a couple old shows, and she's like, talked about when I talked about getting a hole knocked in my vision. She's like, I was like, yeah, you weren't supposed to hear that. I didn't think you were listening.
Yeah, I was waiting for my mom to find out about the wrestling this weekend, and then because I didn't tell her that I wasn't going to wrestle, so she was all freaking out. But what are you going to do? Antonio Cesaro, the United States champion versus Ryback in our first official matchup of the evening. Of course, it's a non-title matchup.
Oh, or according to Michael Cole, a title-free match.
It's like
he called it a title-free match.
It's like Coke Zero or Pepsi Next or something
title-free,
like that.
you know?
So a champion is in a non-title match on Raw. Does this mean...
It means that he's going to lose, Josh Padgett, because every single match that Antonio Cesaro has that's not for the title, he loses.
Well, even though I think, is this their third match they've had now in the last week? They've had a little bit of a main event. I think the last two main events they've wrestled, right? And so this has kind of been a little TV rivalry between these two.
Not going anywhere, and it's not leading to a championship match because Cesaro's in a program with someone else as well.
And I wish almost, you know, that they had actually, this rivalry had been more pushing towards a pay-per-view and a title than just this little TV feud.
Well, Ryback gets the win with Shell Shock, and it's just the repetition of Cesaro. Every time the guy doesn't have a title match, he loses, but it's really odd because every time he's in a title match, he's pretty dominant.
Yeah.
So how does he take dominant losses and then dominant wins?
This wasn't really this was a pretty good match though. This was pretty back and forth. So I wouldn't say this was like a squash. This was Ryback going over, but Cesaro didn't look bad in that loss.
The thing I'm getting tired of, week in and week out, these heels are now, their thing to do nowadays is go, you know what, I'm done fighting.
And they walk away.
This was like something that's been used sparingly throughout the years to get some heat, fine. But to do this every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, I mean, we had Cody Rhodes, this is the waste of Cody Rhodes, I'm out, you know. And Cesaro has done this twice now against Ryback, and tonight he got stopped from doing it. She'll do it. I mean, everybody's doing it.
And now Ryback's out chasing waterfalls.
Yes, he is.
Because Chili from TLC was in attendance.
He's no scrub. He ain't no scrub. That's the Ryback.
Rey Mysterio has a little video promo pleading his case for the fans to vote for him in this Raw active poll, saying that he, in fact, has a very important win over CM Punk, where he actually shaved the head of CM Punk, winning his hair. It was hair versus mask match that Rey Mysterio was victorious within the past, saying, "Hey,
that was back in
vote for me."
Straight Edge Society days.
Yeah.
Kathy, you're giving me a look right now. What's that? You gave me a look of like, what are you talking about?
No, I mean, I think Rey Mysterio is really cool.
Mysterio's a cool dude, but man,
look at the little.
Yeah, his body's becoming a little more like mine right now. I mean, maybe I can get the mocap job again. I mean, I don't know.
He's been showing it off a little bit more the last couple weeks.
Well,
though.
no,
I mean,
now he's wearing the singlet top.
Because he's wearing the singlet top. Before he was wearing the shirts.
He looked terrible today.
Yeah, but he was wearing the full shirt, so he's really covering up. So is it getting bad, or is he just showing it off?
He used to be in such good shape.
Oh yeah,
and now he's not.
Just getting old.
Yeah, he looked like a little miniature Undertaker. From
when you say he's getting old, I mean he's under 40.
Yeah, and I mean.
But when you've done that much damage to your body, like I feel like it ages faster.
DDP yoga. Get him on. Let's get Ray on the DDP yoga.
Let me throw a shout out to one of our fans and listeners at RobNash81, Angel Mendez, saying, "Hey, I love the show. I listen every week. Throw me a shout out," and I'm doing that for you.
Somebody said last week that I needed to be future endeavored.
I saw that you needed to be future endeavored.
Yeah.
And in the same post, it said how great I was. So.
Yeah.
Backstage, Vicky Guerrero tells John Cena that she heard a rumor that he was going to call out the Shield. She said, "What, John? Do you got a death wish?" And essentially, John Cena says, "No, but I'm going to stop the Shield tonight." Cena, fun and games is over. It's time to get into serious mode.
Serious Super Cena.
Serious Cena taking out the Shield.
Going for the world or WWE titles. Got to get serious.
Hall of Fame induction package, and it's Divas time. We get to see a little recap, a little package about Trish. Stratisfaction Stratus. Did you guys go home and look at the picture I brought up last week?
I found it, yeah.
Look at your smile.
I didn't go look it up. I knew the I mean, I've got
Did you look it up?
What is it?
The Trish Stratus picture?
No.
It's a picture of her butt, but like it's a famous picture of her.
Amazing glutes.
But she's leaned over, her butt's in the air, but it
Yeah.
makes like a perfect heart shape. It's the famous picture before she got signed.
Oh.
Yeah. Was it before she got signed? Or?
That was when she was a Muscle Mag International.
Oh, okay.
model.
I thought that was an actual WWE photograph.
I don't believe it's a WWE photo. I think it's a bodybuilding photo.
Gotcha.
But that was like the photo that made her famous. Jericho makes a plea. He wants to be in the Raw active match. He wants to take on CM Punk, and it's all about being the best in the world and seeing who really is and who really deserves that title.
Yeah, rematch from this most current WrestleMania.
Who do you think deserves that title? Best in the world?
Between Punk and Jericho?
Punk and
Well,
Jericho.
I mean, I guess technically it should be The Rock, right? Because he's the champ.
Well, I mean, technically, but...
But right now, I mean, I still think Punk is right now.
So this is a WWE app video. But where'd the touts go? Are they no longer in partnership with touts? I thought that was Stephanie McMahon's thing.
They still tout after shows and stuff, so there still is an
they're
involvement.
just not pushing it that
Less
hard.
on air. They brought up the Twitter. They added the Twitter feed to the bottom of the screen throughout Raw every once in a while, where we see some superstar tweets. Not fan tweets usually, only superstar tweets. Social interaction.
Ziggler sent an awesome tweet earlier today. Or
What did he say,
yesterday.
Josh?
He was saying like, "Oh, here, download Hosky, Zack Ryder's Hosky thing on iTunes."
Did you listen to it? Watch it?
Oh, I haven't.
Oh yeah, it's 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 trash, but
not
it's great.
for me.
It's hilarious.
So it's Zack
music
Ryder
video.
rapping, right? Is
He's
it a
kinda
song by him?
Bro singing a little bit.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's all right, man. It's
Lonely Island-esque.
didn't love it.
No,
Yeah.
I was
Wasn't your
hoping I was
favorite?
gonna like it, but
no.
no.
Stick to Z True Long Island Story or whatever.
I'm gonna be
Except that
doing.
got canceled, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it's done.
No, it's done. Yeah.
All the YouTube shows, right?
I'm gonna end up doing a music video in the next week or so
Are you?
as the voodoo character.
Oh, awesome.
I'm gonna do a voodoo
I
rap
love
video.
the voodoo character.
I'm gonna do the whole rap song in voodoo.
with the voodoo chaos.
Yeah.
All right.
Jack Swagger returns to Monday Night Raw to take on Santino Marella. Booker T on commentary, doing a little observing and checking out if Jack Swagger is ready to return.
Yeah. And by the way, I just gotta say, I hate the fact that Booker T was on Raw because
It's not his show.
It's not his show. Like I don't like when they do that and just mixing back and forth and who. It's just like the inmates running the asylum.
And I thought this whole time that Swagger was gone, he was going to be repackaged or something.
Yeah.
Then they brought him back the same.
Exactly, just a little bit more intense. And I mean, he's looking good. He looked good in the match, I thought. But
So the ankle lock is now going to be known as the Patriot Act.
yeah,
He's got the Patriot Act on.
Yeah, just
It's tough.
like what Josh was saying. This is a perfect opportunity. New music, new look, new gimmick, everything. Repackage them, and it's just almost more of what wasn't working. A little more intense, and I thought it was good, but.
One of the guys in the chat row said that he was repackaged because he got facial hair.
Yeah, like that's the only
Yeah.
thing. Like, okay, there you go. We got facial hair now. yes.
Repackage is a new name, new music, new
remember,
gear.
like
I mean, it's
Wade Barrett.
his hair's a little
he got
longer.
repackaged. The knuckle brawler guy. That worked out really well.
Yeah, he wins the match, essentially looks at Booker T over at the commentary table and says, "Hey, man, are you impressed? And are you impressed? Do you think Jack Swagger can be a future main eventer?"
As the managing manager. Of
not in
General.
this gimmick.
Yes.
I'm not. I don't love this gimmick, but I think he's got some potential.
Potential.
Absolutely.
Question is can they live up to that potential?
Stunning Steve had a ton of potential, then became Stone Cold. It's you never know
The
when they're.
ringmaster.
Yeah, and the
before
ringmaster between that.
The narcissist Lex Luger had potential before he became master of the Lex Express Lex Luger. Yeah.
Well, I thought Lex Luger was in WCW before he became the narcissist.
He
was.
was.
And he was just like Lex Luger. He was
the
like
total
a Ric
package.
Flair
Total
thing.
package Lex Luger,
And
big
then
United States champion.
Did he have the He had the torture rack too.
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
WCW.
Yeah.
And then he goes in here to WWF,
and then
it's
he
like,
had
no.
the metal thing in his arm, and
I do
became the narcissist.
Yeah. Lame.
Cody Rhodes versus Alberto Del Rio in a non-title matchup once again. We found out that this week on SmackDown, Cody Rhodes has dissolved his tag team with Damian Sandow. The Rhodes Scholars are no more.
Yeah,
But they're still best friends.
They said that they're going to still support each other, which was cute.
Oh, adorable.
They're still best friends. So.
Cody does have an official shirt available on Shop Zone now.
Yeah, I've been calling for it for weeks, and it didn't meet my expectations.
Groomed for
Don't like it.
greatness.
Yeah.
What didn't you like about it?
I wanted a Cody's mustache shirt. I mean, this is like Cody's mustache with his real mustache, not like thing that looks like yours with a comb. It's not his mustache. That's not what his mustache looks
It's
like.
not Cody's.
No, it's not Cody's mustache.
That's not the pencil thin.
That's not what people were chanting. Cody's mustache. Yeah, it's not what I wanted.
You don't like the groomed for greatness?
I think they completely dropped the ball on this. It took them too long to get him out, and it wasn't the right shirt.
Look at the Colonel.
I didn't like it. I would have bought one. I'm not going to buy this one.
Caitlin
I'm
probably
not
bought
buying
one.
it.
Look at this guy.
Yeah. It's
he's
not what I wanted.
He's pissed off.
I'm not that pissed off.
Enough
I mean,
is enough. It's time for a
Yeah.
change. Wow. Alberto Del Rio gets the win with the cross arm breaker.
yes. And they even mentioned that he is bringing out more lucha moves. Michael Cole mentioned that, how he's going to his lucha offense.
Got on the microphone after the match and essentially said that Big Show is a bully and he bullies everybody. And then Alberto Del Rio realized the fans made him open his eyes, and he's a champion for the fans, for the hardworking people out there that do everything they can to put food on their families' tables, and he's fighting on behalf of them and their honor. Alberto Del Rio, champion for the people.
I'm liking Alberto Del Rio as the babyface.
As it's actually been entertaining.
It has been.
I've been a fan of it.
We need Ricardo back soon, but
Big Show gets up on the screen, says that he's not here tonight. He's at the hotel because he doesn't want to hurt Alberto Del Rio. If he were there, he would destroy, mutilate, annihilate, decimate Alberto Del Rio, and because of that, he's going to stay at the hotel, and he's just demanding a championship rematch at Elimination Chamber.
yeah, he's not afraid of Del Rio and his little stick.
He tells him that you've stolen my World Heavyweight Championship, and what I did to Ricardo was nothing compared to what I'll do to you. And with that said, that was the end of the first hour of WWE Monday Night Raw. And if you enjoy our recaps and reviews, head on over to iTunes, where you can rate and comment about what we do. Subscribe to the broadcast, the podcast. You can subscribe to our podcast. You can subscribe to other AfterBuzz TV podcasts. But go ahead and rate it. 5-star ratings. Throw the comments. We'd love to hear what you think of the Colonel or the Cupcake over here.
Or the Showtime.
Or Showtime.
Or the
I don't wanna hear
Smiley.
your thoughts.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Be nice.
And then tell a friend.
And then definitely tell a
Yes.
friend. Spread the word. Share it. Like it. Retweet it.
It's a great gift for people.
It
and it's
is a
free
gift.
for you. So.
Absolutely. You hit that subscribe button, and then every Tuesday, late Monday evening, early Tuesday morning, updates automatically right there on your MP3 player. It's amazing. Technology these days.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Fantastic. WWE active poll gets revealed. Who will CM Punk face? Will it be Chris Jericho? Will it be the Viper Randy Orton, the apex predator of the WWE? Or will it be Mr. 619 Rey Mysterio? The results were shown on the Titantron. And by an overwhelming support of the WWE Universe, with 50% of the vote, Chris Jericho will take on CM Punk later this evening.
Of course, everybody's so happy he's back.
Orton getting
That was one of the
30%
biggest
of the vote.
surprises of the Rumble. Yeah, Orton got a good. It was about what I expected. I don't call foul on this vote.
No?
I think that
You think
it
it's
looks
official?
it looks about right.
When Jericho was the one who got the WWE app video too,
Yeah, but it's just with him being everyone being so excited that he's back. You knew he was the guy who was going to win.
So good. Looked great tonight.
We go backstage with Daniel Bryan and Kane. Daniel Bryan upset about the fact that they lost their match on SmackDown against Sin Cara and Rey, saying it was your fault that we lost the match, and you should do your part as my partner and be a real partner to me. And essentially, Daniel Bryan ordered Kane to stay backstage during this upcoming matchup because he doesn't want to ruin his chances of getting in the Elimination Chamber.
Right.
Rey Mysterio versus Daniel Bryan with Booker T and Teddy Long looking on. Interesting, good matchup.
Yeah, very good matchup.
Back and forth action. Mysterio not looking so hot, but that's okay. We talked about it already.
Still got the moves.
He does have the moves. Mysterio stops a Daniel Bryan dive with the forearm during the match. Bryan stops a 619 at one point and goes for the no lock. Ray tries to go for the, actually ends up hitting a 619, goes to drop the dime, the big splash. Daniel Bryan gets out of the way, locks in the no lock.
I like that.
And gets the win.
I thought it was a cool ending there.
But it wasn't the end of the segment, we're going to find out, because we got a return from the world's strongest man.
Somebody gonna get the ass whooped.
Yeah.
See, that one's an acceptable one, because that's part of his music there, Josh.
I could sneak it in.
And it looks like we're going to be getting that ass-kicking Mark Henry back.
Mark Henry
which is great.
According to his shirt, he is bent on destruction.
Yeah.
He sees Daniel Bryan in the entranceway, grabs him, and just throws him into the barricade, heads on into the ring, sees Rey Mysterio within his grasp, his eye lock, and just grabs him with a huge, monstrous spine buster. That Michael Cole called a power slam. Spine buster.
Michael Cole's not always correct on his moves.
And then Sin Cara comes to try to make the save for Rey Mysterio Jr.
Big mistake.
Only to be caught. Goes for the springboard, gets caught in the clutches, the monster meat hook arms. Shouldn't say meat hook, I guess that's a Ryback thing. But caught in the arms of the world's strongest man who delivers a world's strongest slam. Only to follow up with the second world's strongest slam on Rey Mysterio. First one on Rey, but the second for the evening. And all through as this is going on, he keeps trying to drag Rey Mysterio to the corner. And every time he tries to go set up this move, someone was coming in, Sin Cara trying to save her, Rey Mysterio trying to fight back. And eventually he gets hit, and he hits the Vader bomb. The Vader bomb on Rey Mysterio. Crushing the biggest little man in the WWE.
Yeah, and this was awesome. This was an awesome return, and I thought it was kind of wasted on this lame crowd.
That's what I do, Josh Padgett. That's what I do, is what Mark Henry said.
That's what he does. It's in his theme song, for God's sake. But yeah, they were a little dead. I was like, come on, people, let's get jacked up. But they did. They rebounded in the third hour.
Yeah, I'm so glad Mark Henry's back.
I'm glad.
Yeah, and he had this great run about a year ago where he was the
Hall of Pain, man.
Hall of Pain. He was like he was destroying Big Show, just everybody. He was putting through tables. So yeah, I'm glad we're back to that almost, it seems.
Go to commercial, come out of commercial, and we got Kane and Daniel Bryan in the back once again, with Daniel Bryan saying to Kane, "Where were you?" I mean, it's like Kane's like, "Hey man, you told me not to get involved." And essentially, through all these accusations by Daniel Bryan, Kane says, "Daniel, I'm hurt by your tone because there's nothing more powerful than our friendship." And Daniel Bryan gets a little choked up, and he's like, "Oh man, do you mean that, Kane?" Kane looks at him and says, "Hell no." A little joke moment right there. It seems like we have some friction in the team of Hell No. And
There's definitely going to be some friction after the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I think they're splitting them up. But I think we may be getting Tensai and Brodus Clay as a comedy tag team to replace him.
We get the Brock Lesnar recap package for, I guess it would be the second time tonight. Then we go to Big Show, who's in his hotel room, and he's essentially saying he's not going to wait here all night. He's ready to sign this contract. And then the knock at the door. He's got some room service. I think we were all expecting a comedic moment. It kind
of made no sense, that whole.
The guy wants a tip.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to come out from underneath the tray.
I think we were all expecting
that. And
I was waiting to see, like, when he opened up the tray, like Ricardo's head sitting on it.
Yeah, nothing happened. And actually, just I want to backtrack to that Brock thing, the Heyman thing last week. I was just, sometimes you get to think again about what you saw. And one of the things I just thought about was brilliant about that promo last week is Paul Heyman did nothing but lie through that entire thing, and the only time he told the truth was when he said he was lying. Just one of those, sometimes you go back and you reanalyze, and I just thought that was really very interesting and pretty brilliant.
Sheamus versus Kane having a match. Sorry to rush you, but I want to get through so we can get to our guest pretty
Absolutely.
soon. Sheamus versus Kane. Typical match between two big men. Brawls and strikes.
Sheamus can't have a bad match. He's always solid. Every match he ever has. Him and Kane, it was awesome.
It's a good match.
Daniel Bryan comes out to the ringside area, distracts Kane, gets goozled, and then it kind of gets settled up, and all of a sudden Kane turns around, only to get brogue kicked by Sheamus. Sheamus gets the 1, 2, 3, and that's it. But before this match happened, we were actually informed by Michael Cole that Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, and Daniel Bryan would all be involved in the Elimination Chamber match.
Things are cooking up.
Heating up. You know what else is heating up? Hour 3 of Monday Night Raw. But before we get into that, let me remind all of you viewers out there, go on over to the YouTube page for AfterBuzz TV, youtube.com/AfterBuzz TV, where you can catch up on the archive of all of our past episodes, because you may have listened to the podcast on iTunes. But if you want to look at us, if you want to see us, if you want to feel the glory that is our presence, you can tune in on YouTube and check it out.
You definitely want to see GQ Money. Rumor is that he's going to be on the People Magazine's Sexiest People list this year.
Wow.
So that's what I heard. Yeah, that's the rumor.
I think you misheard. It's actually the most eligible bachelor issue. But Hour 3, and we start off with Miz TV. Miz sans tie, but with beard. He's normally wearing a tie.
Yeah.
He had the relaxed look, collar open.
I feel like he looked a little beat up this week.
Well, I mean, I found it interesting that even with the facial hair.
Shouldn't he be baby? He's a baby face.
He's a baby
shouldn't
face.
he be clean shaven?
So once again, the clean shaven and the open, the no tie. I thought it's kind of a heelish vibe that he was putting out.
Yeah.
Still got that massive scar from Kofi.
I mean, he took a big hit.
Yeah,
As
that
he's
was nasty.
given the introduction of his guest, Paul Heyman, he's interrupted by Heyman, who says that he doesn't want Miz to soil his good name and reputation, and does his own introduction. Offers his best wishes. Pork chops and applesauce. Offers his best wishes to the chairman, and said that he didn't order the Brock attack. And in fact, he tried to back Brock Lesnar down.
He did.
And I love how Paul always calls him Mr. Mizanin. He refuses to say Miz.
He's official. Essentially, Vicky Guerrero then gives the excuse me, comes down to the ring, and Vicky says that it wasn't Heyman having anything to do with Brock's return, but it was her, and she'd been negotiating with Brock for quite some time, and he is an elite free agent, and she figured that by signing Brock Lesnar, it would be her chance to impress Vince McMahon and become the full-time general manager of Raw.
I guess he's thrilled.
I feel like the problem with Miz TV is everyone always gets interrupted before they're able to answer.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't
That's
get any
true.
real answers from Paul Heyman.
You always have like 8 guests.
Yeah, there's a lot of guests. There's a lot of interruptions. You don't really get any closure in situations, but you do know that the furniture will be rearranged by the
usually
end of the broadcast.
Because no one uses it.
Vicky feels terrible about what happened to Vince McMahon. I mean, totally feels awful, and she broke down into tears as Paul Heyman consoled her and even told her, "I believe you, Vicky. I know you feel bad about it." And then Paul calls for a moment of silence for Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But Vicky calls it off and says, "No, let's go even a step further. Let's all pray for Vince McMahon and his well-being."
Really?
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 Really? Essentially, Miz says that they're all lying. It's not true. I mean, obviously they had something to do with it, and then Brock's music hits.
He said something like, if when Vince gets back, he's going to fire both of you, so I don't ever have to see your 30 chins or your walrus face again. And Brock heard enough.
Brock heard it. Miz was standing up strong, though. He was holding his ground, standing in his spot, square in the middle of the ring. Wasn't backing down. Brock gets into the ring. Miz is face-to-face with them, eye to eye. Miz gives him a shove.
Bad move.
Bad move because Brock Lesnar came with force and fury with the
baddest man on the planet.
clothesline. And then Brock got pissed because Brock started throwing furniture. Threw the chair.
Hit him in the face.
Right at Miz. Grabbed that chair and threw it right at him, dude.
Like a director's chair, right?
Yeah.
It's like, God,
Right, the wooden handle right in
Hit Miz right in the face. It was crazy.
And then he's throwing couches and finally ends up getting Miz back in the ring.
Miz jumps back in the ring.
Miz jumps back in the ring, attacks him. Brock throws him off again, scoops him up, hits the F5, and Brock is like, "This is my house." And Paul Heyman's just sitting there saying, he's sorry. No more, Brock. He's sorry. He's had enough. No more, Brock.
What did you do?
What did you do? Is Michael Cole says that Brock Lesnar is nothing more than a merciless assassin. Not bad segment. Brock has come back with some force.
Yeah.
Definitely, after not being so destructive, there was some weirdness in the booking on his first run back. There was always the Cena getting the win, and he
and
beat
then the
Triple H, but it was
stuff.
still it wasn't so strong the way it was done. Now we're seeing an aggressive Brock Lesnar, how it should be.
Incredible Hulk type character here.
Randy Orton versus Wade Barrett. Before the match, we get a little picture-in-picture, a little picture in the box of Bo Dallas saying this underdog has a bite, and he's coming for Wade Barrett. He's coming for that Intercontinental Championship.
Are you liking him better at all?
I'm not buying.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like the gimmick. It's just but who knows?
Orton with an RKO out of nowhere. Sudden impact, as Michael Cole said. But once again, non-championship match.
What's
and
gonna
the
happen?
champion goes down.
Of course.
Common thread.
Yeah, that's why I have written down
Classic.
champ loses again.
All right. Now, I thought we were going to get this main event, Jericho versus CM Punk, next. But when we came back from commercial, you know what we got?
We got Fandango.
We got Fandango.
So where's he been? It's about time. With a new hairstyle.
New hairstyle. And then when they showed the close-up of his smile and his tooth, and the one tooth had like a speck of something on it. It was like, come on. They couldn't clean that up.
Does he look like he slimmed down maybe a little bit, too?
He looks like he's trim and he's lean and mean and ready for some action. Maybe Dancing with the Stars alumni Maria Menounos.
I think that would be awesome.
Can make an entrance at WrestleMania maybe with
Fandango. I think that would be perfect.
Mixed tag match.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And then we find out about the new Power Slammers toys from WWE.
Oh, yeah.
The first toys that can wrestle.
Yeah. I would have been stoked as a kid.
Crowd is hot for this matchup, Y2J versus CM Punk, and they go on exchanging chants all night. Y2J, CM Punk.
This is awesome.
Y2J, CM Punk. Big, strong matchup, main event quality, pay-per-view
quality match,
Goes
absolutely.
over 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Jericho goes for the Lion Salt, Punk counters. Jericho tries for walls of Jericho, countered. We got a super Rana by Jericho off the top rope. In the end,
Crowd got hot during this.
Crowd was hot through the whole match, going nonstop.
When he finally locked that Walls of Jericho in, they went nuts.
Yeah, and then CM Punk tried to lock in the Anaconda Vice, and Jericho made it over to the ropes. Punk goes for the GTS, countered by Walls of Jericho, and Punk this time gets himself to the ropes, sends Jericho crashing shoulder first into the steel ring post. Hits GTS, hoists him up on the shoulder, hits that GTS, gets the win. But what was interesting about the win, both men looked like they just gave it their all. Both were lying on the ground. You know, it wasn't Punk up to his feet with a excited, happy win, and I'm so strong. He was hurt. He had a tough time against Chris Jericho, and this was an amazing match.
Great match. One of the best matches we've probably seen on Raw in a while.
This was good.
Yeah.
ESPN, we're told, has broken the story today that Hall of Fame induction. The legend, the wrestler who many thought should have been one of the first to have ever been inducted into the Hall of Fame, but due to politics with Vince McMahon, never happened. But officially, as of today, we learn that Bruno Sammartino, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's own, Madison Square Garden's favorite son, is now going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. They said something like this guy's had like 181 sold-out main events.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At Madison Square Garden.
He's huge back in the day.
And the day before WrestleMania at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which will take place from Madison Square Garden, it's going to be Bruno's day.
And, well, this is going to be a great Hall of Fame this year because, in my opinion, probably the two biggest glaring holes in the Hall of Fame. If you could throw Macho Man up there as well, but between Bob Backlund and Bruno Sammartino, between the two of them, they have the 3 longest championship runs of all time. So the fact that both of them were not in there and are finally going on, this may be the biggest year ever for the Hall of Fame with Mick Foley and Trish Stratus, and there will probably be some more still to be announced, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be more. I would think there'd be a name.
Rumor of the Brawler, I've heard.
Interesting. Could be,
Yeah.
you know.
I'd put him
I didn't love the Brawler thing when we talked about it when we were first entering initial names when nothing was official. Now that you have a class and it's established of a great crop of guys, I think you can throw a Brawler in there.
And I mean, he's arguably the greatest jobber of all time, you know? So, I mean,
Barry Horowitz, man.
Barry Horowitz is up there as well. Louis Spicoli, and Louis Spicoli went on to do some things.
Barry O.
Barry O. Barry O and
Iron Mike Sharp,
the uncle of Randy Orton, Barry O.
Yeah, Iron Mike Sharp with the loaded forearm.
SD Jones, Special Delivery Jones,
lost to King Kong Bundy in the opening WrestleMania in record time.
9 seconds was it?
Matt Stryker in the back tries to get an interview with CM Punk, saying, "Punk, I'm sorry to bother you, but where's your head at?" Punk's like, "What do you mean you're sorry to bother me? If you were sorry to bother me, you wouldn't bother me." And essentially he just says that he's mad that Rock is a thief walking around with his championship, and the title still belongs to him, and he's going to get it back.
A lot of people agree with him, though. The fans, at least.
Oh, yeah. IWC is enraged.
What was that high-pitched squeal by Martin in the back? Right there?
Was that Martin?
I think so. Martin, can we get you popped up on the Martin cam in there for what was that?
No, the Martin cam turns into Cathy cam when Cathy's on the couch. So we'll keep it on the Cathy cam.
All right, Cena's in the back with Josh Matthews, who Josh asks him, "Why would you call the Shield out all alone?" And Cena says, "Last week the Shield pushed. Tonight I push back." Oh, Cena's awesome.
We're getting serious, Cena.
Yeah, buddy. We get another segment with Big Show, who's finished eating, apparently, and he's like, "Quit jerking me around. I want this contract to get here." Knock at the door. "Oh, finally, the contract." He goes through. He flips through. I got to read this. I got to read this. "Do you have a pen?" "No, you don't." "Oh, it's a good thing I have my own." Signs the contract. The guy who brought the contract's kind of like, "Big Show, hey." Big Show's like, "Oh, don't worry about Big Show. Oh, don't worry about Big Show." And then all of a sudden, who's at the door? Alberto Del Rio. Alberto tries to throw a punch at Big Show, but Big Show just gives a big right hand to the ribs right there. Del Rio goes down, and Del Rio didn't have a chance after that.
Yeah. And he was beating the crap out of him for a long time.
Until Del Rio hit the fire extinguisher on Big Show.
Right.
Aiming for the face. Apparently didn't want to ruin the suit of the Big Show because it was like all up into the face.
Well, if you're going to knock somebody out, too, that's where you're going to aim. So
Big Show is blinded by the extinguisher and then just takes the shot, takes the extinguisher right to the head and goes down. In the meantime, a couple of hotel patrons are leaving the elevator, and they're freaked out at this fight that's going on in the hallway. Del Rio gets into the elevator, and he's like, "Perros." I think that's
Hasta luego.
Yeah, a little doggy. Hasta luego. And there you have it.
The door should have closed right when he said hasta luego. It was a little too late.
Can't plan that elevator timing.
It's not on a movie
that's
set.
a real elevator.
No,
We're not talking The Apprentice with some fake elevator doors right here.
The elevator doors start closing and you say goodbye. That's how you plan it.
If that's what you're going to pick on, Cathy Kelley.
Timing gets a little weird when you're out of breath.
Cathy Kelley's favorite wrestler is in the ring right now.
Brad Maddox.
Maddox.
But Dolph was missing tonight.
He was missing.
Where was he?
But look at Padgett right here. He looks like Brad Maddox.
He does look a bit like Maddox.
He's got the vest on. He's got the tight plaid going. If he actually stood up, you'd realize his pants are about as tight as Brad Maddox.
Yeah, I got that covered. If I had some muscle, it would fill in like him, though.
Maddox says that Vince exposed that Brad was manipulated by Paul Heyman, and that he is in fact a hardworking, honest, up-and-coming superstar.
Of course.
And he's an innocent victim and a wronged man, and that's the reason why he gave Vince McMahon the footage. So we found out that's how Vince got that footage, because Maddox provided it. He says, "I'm the hero of this story, and I'm going to teach the Shield about justice. And justice awaits you. and essentially calls out the Shield, saying it's.
We said that he sounded like Bane, and actually the chat roll is agreeing with us.
It sounded just like he was doing a Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, isn't that right there?
Is waiting for you. It was like, oh, dude, Brad, you're awesome. I really think he was doing it. I got to watch Dark Knight again.
You got a man crush?
Oh, yeah.
You got a man crush on Brad?
Man crush?
Yeah, I would definitely say him, Ziggler,
He's a
and
doppelganger,
Punk. Oh, yeah. We're cousins, you know.
Well, that makes sense because Josh loves himself.
He's a
so of course he's
doppelganger. The doppelganger.
I like live through Brad Maddox.
Essentially, the Shield comes out, and they're in their spot in the crowd.
love that entrance still.
Ambrose is on the mic, and he says, "Thanks for the invite, Brad. Yes. But we don't need one." He said nobody ever said. So then, essentially,
so
Maddox is saying,
Maddox was doing Bane and he was doing Joker.
And then Maddox is saying that, hey man, you took their money too. I mean, it's not just me. And he says nobody ever said justice was free. Rollins gets on the mic and says, "Justice is giving up the beat. Justice is us giving you the beating you deserve." Reigns says, "Tonight, we're going to enjoy this, tiny little man." And he goes to get in the ring, and Maddox goes and attacks Dean Ambrose right from the get-go. But once again, the numbers game.
Yeah, they're amazing
enough.
at that.
Cena's music hits, and then Ryback's music hits. And then Sheamus's music hits, and all three of the big baby faces come from the crowd surrounding the ring. The Shield retreats until the locker room. Randy Orton up the ramp, and then Randy Orton leads the locker room out, who blocks their path, sending the Shield back in the ring. Ends up becoming a giant brawl. And in the end, the Shield retreats with the baby faces standing strong. And that's how we go off the air tonight.
And this was much better than a couple weeks ago when those three got to beat up. Maybe Randy Orton was involved in it too.
Yeah, he was.
But that wasn't really done that well. I liked this, the way they did this.
Room.
So is there one
the whole locker room, and they surrounded him and kind of did a little bit of what's good for the goose is good for the gander type stuff. Yeah.
Is there one elimination chamber match at the pay-per-view, or is there two?
It sounds like there's one.
So that's going to include Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, and who did we say?
I forget who they've.
Oh, and Daniel Bryan.
Our official.
So we got three more.
Mark Henry's. I gotta believe Henry's going to be in there.
Didn't they say Rey Mysterio and
Ray, Randy, and Daniel Bryan?
Isn't Khali up for it?
I don't know.
Too? I hope they don't put Khali. They put him in last year.
You would expect a second elimination chamber match with the Shield versus Ryback, Sheamus.
I don't think they're going to do it though. I think they're going to focus on this one for the championship.
On SmackDown, they had all the guys who were former heavyweight champions in the ring, and saying they were all going to potentially be in there,
and that's where Jack Swagger was reintroduced.
But Khali was in there. Dolph was kind of standing on the sidelines. I mean, it seemed like I think there were seven guys up there.
And Dolph backed out. Dolph said on SmackDown, "I don't need that. I have the money in the bank, and I can cash this in whenever I want. So I can go to WrestleMania if I choose."
I was really happy with the last segment because I feel like the Shield shtick has been getting kind of old, and now it's, I don't know,
freshening up again.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was a good way for them to be run off. It didn't make them look weak. It was having to take a page out of their playbook, and they got outsmarted a bit.
And give Ambrose the mic every week, please.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good.
It was really good.
Overall, I thought it was a pretty good broadcast.
Pretty good, yeah.
I was entertained. Missed that first hour, but.
Yeah, nothing that I think you're gonna remember years down the road as one of the greatest Raws ever. But it was a good Raw.
Solid.
Yeah, solid. That's all we can ask for. It's hard to be great 52 weeks out of the year.
Rumor has it that our crew right here is going to be involved in some sort of video parody later that will probably go up tomorrow along with this broadcast.
Oh. A sequel to the last, potentially?
Maybe. Maybe. Well, with that said, maybe if you can pull up the video clip trailer profiling our guest, we can throw this little trailer up on the screen, prepare and ready our guest to come on into the studio. This guy who's coming into the ring has had one hell of a story, one hell of a career in the professional wrestling business, and after pursuing it for so long, he finally came to the grips that it was time to call it quits, and he set off on a final farewell retirement tour, and after doing it, he decided to cut a documentary, and it's this documentary right here.
When I was 14 years old, I had a dream. A dream that nearly a decade later I couldn't forget. I thought it was my destiny to be a professional wrestler on national TV. A decade later, I finally made it. Or so I thought. In less than a year, it was over.
Right, so you disappear, yeah, you're off television, you're done. What's the story?
And nobody knew why.
I think a lot of people have read on the internet that I've got hepatitis C, and everybody else thinks I've just got brain damage. So, yeah, that's what
this is the story of my final tour. On the shows where I started, with the people I knew.
No, I can't wrestle anymore. Please feel sorry for me.
It was the last time I'd ever wrestle. The last chance to say goodbye. The last hope for a resolution. The last of McGuinness.
An emotional documentary, an emotional man behind the documentary. If we can draw our attention to the entranceway, because making his way into the AfterBuzz TV studios, a studio he's actually familiar with because he hosts other shows here on AfterBuzz TV.
And let's not forget, he actually hosted this show for a short time as well.
But let's give a warm welcome to Nigel McGuinness. Set you up on the couch over there, Nigel. We'll get you a headset up here. Callie, we can hook him up with the headset. Dun, 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 dun. We got a nice pint of McGuinness for you over as well, if you'd like.
There's no Guinness in there. What are you kidding?
There's a pint of it. We can't,
bloody hell.
We can't say a pint of Guinness, but we can say a pint of Nigel McGuinness.
There we are.
You said both.
I'm going to have to squeeze next to you, sweetheart, so I can get in the camera.
Listen to that accent. Listen to that accent. It's a pleasure to have you. You were hosting the show when I was the guest for one of my first AfterBuzzes, and now I'm in this spot and you're in that spot.
How the world turns, huh?
A crazy world it is, man.
When I started doing this, Josh was, knee-high to a grasshopper, and look at that. Somebody Russell Crowe, doesn't he? Fantastic. Good-looking fella, right? Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Keep your hands to yourself. He's taken.
Look at she's blushing sitting next to you right now. Look at her.
She should.
That accent.
It's all about this right here. The last of McGuinness. You spent a year of your life putting this together.
Essentially. I did the tour November and December of 2011, and did the Kickstarter thing for it. Got some money. Got about 30 grand basically to make this thing, and it took the next 8 months of my life driving across America. That only took about 3 days, but the rest of the time was spent here making a documentary that you four lovely young people have seen.
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
Absolutely an impressive story. I mean, the first thing I'll say is, I mean, probably a lot of workers who have watched it. You've gotten, I'm sure, a ton of feedback from friends, family. What moment do most people tell you is the point where they first break down and cry when they're watching it?
They don't mention it. They just say, I cried a few times in there. I've watched it with a few people, and the most emotional one, I think, was after a Ring of Honor taping. I watched it with a lot of people that personally knew Bison Smith, who died during the taping of the documentary. And to see it with them, I got a real first-hand account, and just Jimmy Jacobs was crying after about 3 seconds, actually. Just the music set him off. But everybody, when it got to that point, you could just feel people's breaths just sort of, when it really sort of hit them, and it hit me as well. And also, it gave me an opportunity to understand where I needed to tighten things up and move things forward with the story as well. I got a message on Facebook today from a guy that he sent me a message and said that it really touched him and it really moved him. But his girlfriend thought that I was just whining about not getting to WWE.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's funny, isn't it interesting, the different perspective that people have?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you watch, 5 people watch a movie, they'll probably get 5 different reviews of what was important to them, and it says a lot about who they are as a person from what they take from it. Like, I mean, I really want to get your opinion from it as well, because you've all had varying different degrees of sort of experience within professional wrestling. So I kind of like to feel what you guys thought about it.
Well, I was watching it and trying to stay strong, keep my emotions in check, and then you got into the part with your family, and you're sitting there, and you said, you know, you always imagined when you went home it would be you taking your parents out for dinner, and instead you're only home in that situation because they bought you the plane ticket. And when you said that, I mean, that was my moment for me, because, I mean, it's my story right there. I mean, I have a story that's very similar to yours, so, I mean, watching this, I mean, it felt like I can relate in so many ways. Was offered a deal with WWE last year. I got the rescinding call. I got the call rescinding my contract as well. I got my letter that I keep up on my wall, where they finally came back and said, "No, we've made some changes. We reevaluated. We're going to stick with focusing on workers, not managers and personalities. We're rescinding the offer." And it's like, Johnny, you're killing me.
No other reason. They just changed their mind.
That was it. 2 weeks after I got my offer, Ty Bailey, who was head of talent development at the time, got fired. And I remember right when I read that, I was like, this is going to screw me, because he was a big supporter of me, who was trying to get me in the door. And
wow. It's crazy how that happens. I mean, the same thing happened to Claudio, who's up there now as, what's he called?
Antonio Cesaro.
Antonio Cesaro. He was there. And anybody who's a WWE fan alone would have no idea that he was nearly hired, 2-3 years earlier, and then had to go back to Ring of Honor and continue, you know, busting his ass, and finally got hired, and now, thankfully, you know, he's getting the sort of just rewards from the years of paying his dues.
And apparently Chris Hero too actually had his contract wasn't going through, and it took a long time.
It took a long time for a lot of people actually. Even Dragon, Daniel Bryan, took him a while to finally get, you know, signed on. The business has changed irreparably since even 10 years ago. If you look at some of the guys that were hired, you know, pre-2005, very few would be hired nowadays. You know, that's just a change of the business, and that's what happens when a company goes public, and they have a lot more I's to dot, T's to cross, a lot more sort of, you know, people whose jobs are on the line, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail about the specifics of the DVD, because it's something that I think every viewer has to watch for themselves, and you do a great job of kind of leading people on without giving them the answers to the questions they have. You generally wait until later parts of the movie, so I don't want to sit and be like, this is what's going on, or this is what happens in it. It's a story you got to watch, but man, I mean, you were on top of your game, man. I mean, you were known. I mean, the name gets thrown out there for CM Punk for American Dragon, but you were considered one of the best in the world. I got a comment right here, actually, from fans right here online. Stewie John Palmer from the UK says, "Miss you, Nigel. You were without a doubt the best British talent we had. Was gutted when WWE didn't happen. And the DVD, while although sad, really encapsulates you and is probably up there as one of the best wrestling documentaries ever made."
Wow, that's high praise, isn't it?
You've had an impact on a lot of people's lives. And
you have. What's really interesting, though, is finding that difference between critical acclaim and financial, and I guess when you call it popularity acclaim. Right? I mean, you've been a wrestling fan for how long now?
Only a few months.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Only a few months, right. And so obviously you'd never heard of me beforehand anyway. But you could have been
I heard of you through AfterBuzz.
Sure.
So.
You could have been a wrestling fan for 3 or 4 years, a WWE fan, and you know, you wouldn't have a clue who I was, you know. And there's a lot of other people in many other forms of entertainment, you know, be it acting or music. And you see it again and again, stories of people who are tremendously talented but just never break through to that next level. And it's... That's why I think that's one of the unifying themes of anybody, you know, even people who aren't trying to get into entertainment, maybe they're pursuing a different course in life, but everybody has these goals, they have these ambitions. That's why every one of you is here today, because you want to do something with your life, you know. I mean, arguably to be a host or to be an actor, perhaps there's, you know, more opportunities there, because with wrestling there's really only one company.
Yeah.
I mean, there is TNA, and yes, people do make money there, but it's not a lot of money unless you used to work for WWE.
Yeah. It's harder to get into the WWE than MLB or NFL or any of those.
It's harder in the sense that there's more people trying to get few jobs.
And a lot less spots. I mean, think about the amount of guys on the roster is probably about the same as one NFL team, probably.
Right.
But I think wrestling fans also think that, if you get to TNA, you're making real money and you're making a great living.
Some of those guys aren't making very much at all, right?
People would be shocked.
I mean, I'm not afraid. I mean, it was back in 2003, 2004 that I was there. But I mean, dude, they were paying me $50, $100 a spot. Yeah, it was like, you guys are supposed to be the #2 company in the world, you know, touting how huge you are and how you're making an impact in the wrestling world, and you're paying people like, you know, and I was getting paid less than what I was making on every other show I'd ever done in my career, and it was like, it's brutal. And actually, one of my partners in TNA is in the video with you in the trailer, Spider Nate Webb. We were in a faction together down there. I think it just didn't work out.
Elix Skipper was paid like $500 to walk the cage, right? And risk his life there for that crazy move.
Absolutely nuts. Yeah. But I mean, you guys, I'd like to get your opinion as well. You know, give me your feedback. What was, I mean, I don't want to sound, what's that word, flippant.
Right.
And I certainly appreciate all the positive stuff of it, but what I'm trying to do is sort of get a reaction, get something that you feel I could change somehow to make it better. And before we do that, though, can we just plug where, if anyone wants to get a DVD, nigelwrestling.com is my website. That's the only way you can get hold of a copy, unless you go to a Ring of Honor show in the near future. We will be selling a few DVDs there, which I'll sign for you in person. But if you want to get your hands on one now, nigelwrestling.com, go on there and you can order it, and it will be winging its way to you as soon as possible. So, Ryan.
Yeah, you know, I thought interesting coming from, I've been in documentary television for about 10 years now, and a lot of the great ones, I think, you know, they go out to film something else and almost the story becomes something different. And it almost felt to me that you went out to shoot a documentary on your last tour, and the story really became this documentary about you making peace with your career. And that really became the story, not as much the tour. And that's what I thought was this amazing story that I really, really dug. That, you know, it felt like it became something different than you originally intended. Russell Crowe?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the big thing with me is, like, you know, I'm not a wrestler. I'm nowhere near, you know, it's always... It really hit me hard watching this, because I mean, we all are in this room. I mean, half of us are wrestlers, and the other half, I mean, like me and Cathy, we want something too, just as bad and just as difficult as you guys. And watching this, and I'm just going, my God, like, watching how you went through your journey and seeing how much you wanted that, and then seeing how it all concludes here, and you know, you think about it and you're like, okay, this was like where I come from. It's like, look, this was the plan that was set out for you. You know, I come from the Bible Belt. You know, Jeremiah 29:11. I have plans for you. I have plans for you to prosper. And I always, you know, I want to be in the next Lethal Weapon. I want to be the next Mel Gibson, you know. I want to do those things. And I came out here, and I have friends who I left at home, who I know people who would watch this type of documentary and go, this guy's insane. You know, how do people that look at me when I come home for the holidays, and they're like, how are you doing this? You were all alone out there. You know, I didn't know anyone out here. And watching this, and I can't help. I'm not a wrestler. I don't come from that world. And yes, I have a love for wrestling, and it hits me a little harder than maybe your average person. But my God, like, I could not stop getting emotional last night when I was watching this, and I'm just sitting here thinking, what a delight and an advantage people in my position can have by watching a documentary like this, Nigel. For you to make this is such a blessing. For any artist, anyone who has something, a dream, something that they want more than anything in life, to see and to learn from someone like you, Nigel, and I want to thank you so much for showing this to me and for making it.
Yeah, this isn't just a documentary for wrestling fans. This is a documentary for anybody who's ever had a dream, who's ever tried to accomplish a dream, whether successful or unsuccessful, or for the people who've had dreams and didn't have the guts and the courage to go for it. I mean, this is the story of, this is the journey of trying to make your dreams come true. And sometimes the good things happen, and then it's the happy story and the fairy tale ending, and other times reality sets in and it just doesn't work out how you thought destiny was supposed to be. It's not the fate that fate had intended, so you know that you think.
Yeah, and it made me think also a little bit of Beyond the Mat a little bit, in the fact that it's this documentary that it's about wrestling, but not really. You know, it's about something deeper than wrestling, and has a potential crossover for anybody, not just wrestling fans.
Definitely felt more like The Wrestler to me than even Beyond the Mat.
Some of that,
I mean, just that this is a true story.
I
not
didn't mean the story-wise, but the fact that it could be a crossover piece, and it's not just for wrestling fans.
I thought it was really powerful because you always hear about the people that make it to the top level. You never hear about the people that have a lot of success, but they don't quite make it as far as they want to. And like, I felt so much for you in that moment, just because like you had these dreams, and it's, as Josh said, there's so many people that have these dreams, and it's like you never hear about those thousands of people.
But does that interest you? I think that's my concern. When I had 70 hours of footage, and a lot of it was, oh, I didn't get to WWE, and la la la, and it's not fair, and because that's how I genuinely felt, you know. And I think everybody tries to put on a brave face and go, you know what, I'm going to stick it out and whatever else. But at some point, and most people probably don't, you know, record it on camera and put it on a documentary for the world to see. But at some point, everybody breaks down and says, "F it." You know what I mean? I busted my ass, and I deserved that. I deserved it, and I didn't get it. And but my concern is that people just like that girl, the girlfriend of the guy that wrote to me on Facebook, just go, he's just whining about not getting to WWE.
It's
like,
probably because she didn't have a dream.
Yeah,
like
you're going to get that, but I think the majority of people are not going to feel that way.
Yeah,
most people that I have seen it and whatnot have felt the same way, have loved it.
Right. Based on kind of what you're saying, Greg DeMule, one of our listeners, had a question for you. He said, how did you actually mentally come to grips with truly walking away? He says you see most wrestlers, a lot of times they'll say, I'm retiring, I'm calling it quits, I'm done, and then only to come back a year later, 2 years later, and keep doing more and more runs. How did you come to grips with saying, no, this really is it for me, I'm done?
I don't know, to a certain extent, it takes more guts, I've said this to people before, to walk away than it does to carry on, you know, because to walk away, you're giving up on that dream. And if it's your only dream and you spent, you know, a decade of your life doing that, that's your whole life, you know what I mean? There's no going back. A lot of the people that say they're quitting and then come back, like Terry Funk, for example, you know, they've done it their whole life, and they've made a fortune doing it, and will continue to make, not necessarily a fortune, but certainly decent money to do that. One of the realities of not getting to WWE, and I touch on it in the documentary, is financially, it's everything. It wasn't a case where I could just go back on the independents and make a decent living to where I could pay my bills, and if I got hurt, but continue to pay my bills, you know? I mean, it would be hand to mouth, and I've done everything outside of WWE I possibly could, so I just certainly valued myself more than that, and I felt like, as you will see in the documentary, there are other things in life. And I really started to appreciate that, seeing a lot of my friends that hadn't pursued their dreams to be professional wrestlers. You know, they had a kid, and it was the most amazing experience for them. It's something that we all take for granted. You know, all our parents had us, and we just say, well, you have children, that's what you do. I mean, and when they decided to have kids, that was all you did. The idea that you had to pursue some grandiose dream was, and most people didn't even think about it. You know, they were just happy to be healthy and have a job and be able to pay their bills and, you know, hopefully support their children, you know. But there were just many other experiences in life, and that's why I try and tell a lot of people that have contacted me that just try to enjoy your life every single day, you know. I guess the other subject to touch on, without giving away too many spoilers, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this, was the use of intentional blood loss within wrestling, because it's something that I didn't want to belabor the point, obviously, because of what happened to me. It was an issue that I felt I had to say something about, but I didn't want it to be the only thing. I didn't want to hammer it, blood, 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 blood. But a lot of the feedback that I've got is it's a great movie, it's inspiring, it talks about a dream, but not so many people are talking about changes that I feel need to happen within the wrestling industry. And I'm not sure whether you're familiar with it, but, you know, there's been a practice around the wrestling business for forever. Where people intentionally cut themselves to get blood during a match, and I feel that, you know, it should be I don't want to say outlawed, but I think in this day and age it's barbaric. I think it does more to hurt the business than it does help the business. But I want to get your opinion, having seen the movie. And please don't just say I agree with you because I'm sat here. I mean, I do genuinely want to get your feeling. I mean, Ryan, you're, you know, training to be a wrestler now, and hopefully, obviously, you will improve and get on big shows.
And I have never done that.
But when you got to that stage, when you get to, let's say you get to TNA and you're there and this is your opportunity, and they say, now, Ryan, we need you to get some colour in this match. What do you do?
I don't know, because I have never been put in that situation. I could tell you don't want to do that. That's something I'm not interested in doing. I haven't been put in that situation, so I would like to think I wouldn't, but I honestly don't know at this. Who knows? You know, and there's a lot of pressure right there at that point where there's your job, and absolutely.
It's the moment. I remember my first time.
You came from XPW.
I remember
my
first time, and I got to the office on Saturday morning, and Kevin Kleinrock says to me, "All right, you're doing some stuff with New Jack, and we want you to get color." And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The only guy I don't want to work with that I was legitimately scared of based on reputation. In the end, we get to the arena of the show. Jack says to me, "Oh, you done this before?" I've never cut myself before, and I give him the, "Oh yeah, a couple times," because based on reputation, I was like, if I say no, he's gonna do something crazy to me. And I remember the match happens. He hits me with the garbage can. I go down to go give myself my little cut, and nothing's hitting the ring, like nothing's dripping. And I go, if I come up and I have like one drop of blood or nothing, he's gonna slice the hell out of me. And I took my blade and I sliced my forehead. And I got a gash that, you know, I'm lucky where it is, that it's in the line of my forehead so people don't see it. But, I mean, I got like a 2-inch scar right in the line of my forehead. I remember getting up, and New Jack looked at me, and he was going to hit me again. And we got to the back in the locker room, and he's like, "Man, Smiley, I was going to hit you with that garbage can again, but it looked like you had a vagina on your head." Nah, and he let me go. I mean, I was scared essless. I mean, and then he's bleeding in the match, and now you got mixed.
Yeah.
That's just, if one person's bleeding, it's one thing. It's when you got both people bleeding. There should at very least be regulation. And on the indies, there is nothing to regulate anyone.
It's not regulated anywhere.
You don't know what
anymore.
any of these wrestlers do. You don't know what anyone's doing in their free time.
It was regulated back in the 60s and 70s, right? I think with the athletic commissions, and that was a big reason.
State by state, it's different.
Yeah, it was state by state, but that's a big reason Vince admitted that it was it was predetermined.
East Coast seems to have more regulations than anything on the West Coast.
But Cathy, let me ask you now, as someone who's only been around the wrestling business, and Josh as well, for someone that hasn't been intimately. When Ryan tells you that story about gashing his head open with it, how does that make you feel, and how does that make you think about professional wrestling as an industry? Does it make you go, "Wow, this is an art form"? Or does it make you go, because it makes me feel sick? It makes me go, you know what? People are going out there and are busting their ass, and to be a high-level professional wrestler is so difficult. You know, the Eddie Guerreros, those sort of guys, the William Regals, they spent decades of their life to get to that ability, and if a member of the public could understand that, we may get some respect. But the second we see this nonsense, which is really, there's no art form involved with that at all. And if you've watched wrestling in the last 3 years, you've seen 100 instances where there's no art involved. There's no subterfuge involved. It's obvious what people are doing. I mean, where's the art form in there?
Yeah. I think that it really turns me off to the product. And honestly, I saw the Attitude Era DVD, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but how much blood was in that DVD really made me think twice about wrestling. And I feel like I'm different in the sense that as a new fan, appreciate how much athleticism is involved in wrestling. And a lot of females, I don't, like, someone who's just flipping through the channels isn't going to like WWE because they think that it's, all predetermined or faked or whatever. And you have to realize that people are getting really hurt. And without, adding blood to that, it's already, it's hard on your body.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessary. And luckily, WWE pretty much has a no-blood policy now. They've pretty much done away with all that, even to the fact where if someone accidentally gets cut, they shoot around it and try not to
go to black and white
footage. They go to
footage,
black and white. They try to get There was a time, I think it was Cody busted his head open in SmackDown about a year ago, and they were shooting him from behind.
I remember the pay-per-view match. They stopped to have the trainers come try to clean up a wound, and everyone was getting pissed in the crowd. But it's an every other sport stops when there's blood on the. It's a new age and era, and there's a lot more stuff going on, and it's scary. The blood thing's gross, man. It really. I mean, I was taught that in wrestling you're supposed to make everything look as damaging and as brutal as possible, with causing the least amount of damage, as possible. I mean, you're supposed to make it look awful without actually destroying someone, hurting someone, mutilating someone.
And if you want to get into the realism of sport and whatnot, if somebody's bleeding in a real fight, they stop it. The doctor looks at it, and if it's too bad, they'll stop the fight. So, I mean, even if you want to say, wrestling's a sport, it would make sense to stop matches when and clean up blood when that happens. Because, as you said, you see it in every other sport.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, like, I'm guilty of it. I did love the blood. I thought, I mean, iconic things of the Attitude Era, Stone Cold Steve Austin and that sharpshooter. I'm not giving up, and he's just bleeding all over. Oh my
There's
God.
a few moments like that.
When I was a kid, Sergeant Slaughter versus Hulk Hogan, I thought he was killing Hogan. And that would have nowhere near been an impactful match had Hogan not getting sliced up. But as I got older and I heard stories like, I mean, the big change for me was when I heard about what the Butcher did. And after hearing about
Abdullah?
Yeah, with
yeah.
And I'm sitting here.
Smart enough, the fans at home who may not have heard about that.
Oh yeah.
So Abdullah the Butcher was in a match with the young gentleman. I don't know his name. A young guy who actually was offered a WWE deal.
Devin Nicholson.
And when he went through his medical testing, he showed up having hepatitis, I believe, in his blood. And he says that he got that from Abdullah the Butcher, who bladed him inside of a match using a dirty blade.
Yeah, and this sounds. And they were saying like Abdullah would do this over and over again with the knowledge of what was going on, what he had, and like as an adolescent growing up in the Attitude Era, ECW era, like I was like, yeah, let's get the blood. I understand that, but we don't need it. What attracted me to wrestling in the first place was the storytelling, the majesty of it, the acrobatics, like the storytelling. And blood is a very minimal asset to storytelling, and you see it today. We still watch wrestling every week, and there's a no blood, rule. I don't think it's you gotta get rid of it.
I just think the danger is take TNA for example, where they test their guys every 6 months, and that was where I was when I tested positive. Their argument, I'm sure, would be we test our guys every 6 months. Therefore, if there is blood on the shows, then we've already been tested. But let me ask you: if you meet a girl in a bar and she says she wants to sleep with you, please don't use a condom. I got tested 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, please,
exactly.
Please let me dive in there. You know what I mean? Like, that's the truth. It doesn't take that long at all. And it's not even just that. I think the reality of it is, and this is, I guess the point that I'm trying to get across here is that, as professional wrestlers, and certainly TNA, which is watched by millions upon millions of not only fans but also aspiring professional wrestlers, they may not know that people get tested every 6 months. All they may see is this great match, and there's blood all over the place, and they're going to go in their little backyard promotion and bleed all over each other because they think that's what you need to do to get that sort of reaction. It's much the same as unprotected chair shots 10 years ago, where we were all looking at it and going, well, it's just part of the business. It's not Bella, yada, yada, yada. And thankfully, because of the work of Chris Nowinski and arguably because of what happened with Chris Benoit, now an unprotected chair shot, it kills the crowd. I mean, I talked to Gabe Sapolsky, who books Dragon Gate USA now, and he said the exact same thing. Like, it used to be where you go, but the crowd really get into it. Now they don't. If you're an independent show and you see an unprotected chair shot, the life goes out of the crowd because they know. They've watched Beyond the Mat, and they've seen the effects that it has on people. Yeah. And it's my hope that hopefully in time, and it's not going to happen overnight, but in time, and it's really more so, it's going to be the next generation. It's going to be the people who are training now. It's going to be those people who are going to make that opportunity. They're going to be the ones who decide that. And there's going to be people who've been around wrestling for all the time. Like the Hogans and the Flairs, and it's just ingrained in them. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to try and change that. All I've got to do is I have to express my opinion. I have to say this is how I feel. Take it or leave it. And hope that the young guys that are coming in the business now, who are going to be the future superstars, will make the changes necessary such that one day a doctor, a lawyer, an actor, whoever it is, can go, you know what, I don't like professional wrestling, but I respect it. Yeah. And that's all I want.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing I actually really liked in the doc, too, is I've never seen anyone explain the art of professional wrestling the way you did in the beginning of the documentary, which I thought was quite awesome.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that part of the documentary.
It took a long time, and it's very difficult because as wrestling fans, we've all been in that experience where you go, why you watch wrestling? And how do you explain? How do you convey that to somebody? And I sort of belabored that as I was sort of making this documentary. How can I possibly do that? And So basically, I broke it down. I broke a match down. And I said, what is it that's so difficult about this? And I tried to compartmentalize that into a 3-minute black and white segment, and hopefully, you know, it touches some people and they get it.
Yeah.
And you had no previous experience editing, no previous experience directing or anything like that?
Not a thing. You know, when I started the tour, I didn't even know how to hold a camera. You know, I still don't know how to. You know, I just shot. Hey, can you hold this? And you know, did the best I possibly could. And then, you know, coming to Los Angeles was obviously a big part of that, so I could meet some people. Gary Warren is a story producer guy I met out here who helped me a great deal with the documentary in terms of the, you know, putting things in the right place and trimming them down. Jeff Katz as well gave me a lot of insight, but so many other guys in terms of just little bits. I get this far and I go, well, how do I get there? And I'd call up somebody and then I'd get to the next stage, and it goes on and on. You know, even designing the DVD and even like authoring the DVD. What authoring a DVD was, you know, but apparently you can't just edit this together. You've got to then.
He does a bunch of
you do
that
it for a living.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Crazy. So I had to every single step of the way learn something, and you know, that's, I think the big thing that I've kind of learned in the whole story here is that I can look back and I can go, you know, if I'd been signed by WWE, yeah, I'd have gone there. I'd achieved my dream. I'd probably made a ton of money, you know. Who knows? Maybe I'd have got laid every night. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is I'm now in a position in my life and a place in the world that I never would have been had I gone to WWE. Right. Maybe I'd had a short run. I'd have got fired. And I'd have been like, how many other guys do you see who have that tiny little run there and then go back on the indies and make a little bit of money, but then done, and it's gradual and it's gradual. I said, I'm done, and it's time to move on, and I've moved on, and I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's a wonderful place, and the sun shines every day, and everybody's got nice white teeth, and as soon as I go to the dentist tomorrow, hopefully I will do too.
What made you choose that medium to tell your story in, as opposed to like a book or something else?
Just the most accessible. I'm actually working on an autobiography at the moment that will go into more details about the whole story, but really that's the easiest way to get my story over. And it was something that I kind of I labored over, because from the time that, you know, I tested positive and saw people still bleeding and everything else like that, it was very difficult for me, because I felt like I wanted to say something. I wanted to put it out there that, you know, these changes need to happen, but I knew I only had one opportunity, you know, and Devin Nicholson is a great example of someone that went out there and tried to, but people didn't listen, you know, people aren't listening, and I knew I had to have one opportunity to do that, and I did my absolute best to do that, and hope that, you know, little by little it'll trickle through to people.
I love the perspective that your friend gave you, the old bald guy. I don't remember his name.
I love it. You call him that now. But Alan Lewis.
So essentially, was saying to you, I mean, you were going over the fact of, you know, are you a failure or a success? And he said, you know, if your goal was to go make tons of money and do this, then you failed. But that wasn't really what your goal was. You wanted to go out there and put on the best possible wrestling matches you can, and you did that, and you've impacted people's lives. You became the champion of arguably the most prestigious, you know, independent promotion in the country, and you've done some big things, and you have had that chance to live the dream that you set out for.
Somewhat. The dream was to go to WWE. The dream was to be the Ultimate Warrior. The dream was to be recognized on the street, you know. And it was not just about the money. It's not even necessarily just about the fame. It's about the fact that the limited amount of fame and the limited amount of exposure I have in this documentary, I consider one of the, you know, the greatest aspects of my life is that I can communicate with people across the world, the people in Japan who've talked to me, Norway, Sweden, pretty much every country there is out there. You know, one or two people have seen the documentary and said that it really touched them. The ability to do that, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And I think if you would talk to very famous actors, or even John Cena or guys like CM Punk, certainly Daniel Bryan, yes, they may love the money and the fame or whatever else, but I'm sure there's a couple of instances where maybe it was a kid from Make-A-Wish or it was something like that, where they've just realized how important their life was to somebody else. That's what we all want to do. I think we all want to make that connection with somebody else, and whether it's with our spouse, you know, and our children, or whether it is, what's that saying, like be the world to someone or be someone to the world, you know, because you can't do both.
And where can they get the DVD again? What's the website address?
NigelWrestling.com.
Awesome. And are you going to be looking to submit this to film festivals?
Yeah, so I entered the current version into South by Southwest, and it got rejected a couple of days ago, which was not bad because it made it to a couple of stages. But the current stage is very sort of wrestling fan friendly. You know, the fact that you guys have a working knowledge of professional wrestling means that there were certain explanations that weren't necessary in there. So what I'm doing now is I'm making a further edit. I'm trimming out a lot of the wrestling, trimming out a lot of the whining about WWE because, you know, as that girl...
Tightening it up, as we call it in the biz.
Well, that's it. It runs 158 at the moment, and if you're a wrestling fan, there's a lot of great stuff in there that will really touch you and will move you. But if you're not a wrestling fan, I need to tighten up that story arc so that it, you know, it impacts it, you know, more strongly.
Could you do like an edited down version, but then also do extra footage?
Yeah, there actually, I mean, I was selling it off my website, and there was originally an extras version that had an extra 2 hours of footage that had amazing stuff on it. It had a journey that me, Robbie E, and Billy Gunn took across West Virginia to this show where I burped and Billy Gunn lost his rag. He said it was like a rotten vegetable or something like that, which I had been drinking broccoli protein shakes, which would explain that. But then Robbie E suddenly decides to fart, which I think is absolutely disgusting, but he just thought it was the funniest thing in the world, and he sat right next to me like going, hey bro, better out than in. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, who wants to smell that? It's the most disgusting thing in the world, you know? Like, he goes, it's only natural. I said, so he's taking a shit, but I don't want to see you do that next to me in a fucking car. Right?
Girls don't do that.
They don't, no. Not around me if they know what's good for them. But there's lots of other good stuff in there, and I think once I, you know, make this new edit and I can see whether I can either A, sell it to television, or B, get it into a documentary film festival, then maybe, you know, I'll re-release that. But really, I just wanted to get it out to the people that wanted to see it, and most importantly, with the Kickstarter rewarders, you know, the guys that, this was in March, you know, this was in March where there was barely even a trailer out there, and there was so many people that pledged so much money that it just blew me away. It really did blow me away, especially now there've been so many people who've gone on there and tried to do the same thing and haven't had the same level of success or any success. It just made me think, man, you know, like, that's wonderful.
And how long did it take you? It was like 3 days, right?
3 days to get the 32 grand that I was asking
crazy.
for. Absolutely
That's amazing.
crazy. Awesome. And it made me think I should have asked for 100 grand. I got that.
That's the thing. It's like, oh, we should have asked for more.
You just don't know, you know. But what a wonderful world we live in that can happen. I mean, even 10 years ago, there's no way that could happen. You know, we talk about how the world has become so dehumanized now, and because of. But really, it's not. It's the opposite. I mean, you look at social media. Look
people
at how
want to make connections with people.
Absolutely, Colt Cabana is a classic example of someone that, you know, has understood that and is really ahead of the game now because of his podcast, which you can get on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. There's a plug for your Colt. Then, you know, he's now connecting with people in a way that a lot of other people never could have. You know, and you wonder if Hulk Hogan had a Twitter back in the 80s. You know.
And he's one of the few guys.
Hopefully, he wouldn't have done because he'd have buried himself back then as well. Right?
Did you see the retweet that he did this week?
No. What was it?
So someone tweets, Hulk, I just went balls deep on Brooke, and he retweeted it. Unbelievable.
Did he really?
Maybe it was Brutus. Who knows? Right?
We just met Brutus this weekend.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Saturday he did a show that we were both on.
So you brought up Colt Cabana, and every time I've been around Colt Cabana, Cabana knows that I'm a Magic fan, and he's always like, you got to be around Nigel. Nigel's a tremendous magician.
All right.
So I figured on a happier note, since we got a kind of a sadness to this documentary, I brought some cards, and I was wondering if maybe you'd treat us to something on the improv levels, man.
Do a little trick for Cathy.
I mean, I know it's tough when you put a magician on the spot sometimes, but I've also heard that your abilities are so good that you are definitely like an improv magician. I mean, you can use the real life items, a deck of cards, you're good to go.
There we go. Right. Let's have a look here. It's just a regular deck, is it?
Regular deck. You got 3 on the top that are jokers and
jokers. There we go. All right. Now, Cathy.
Yeah.
Do you have, let me make sure this is a full deck here. Do you have like a favorite card? Because a lot of times if you ask someone to think of a favorite card, it'll say something about them. You know what I mean? Like for example, like, you know.
I keep on second guessing what my favorite card is.
Right, but if you think of, like, if you ask a girl to think of maybe like a, you know, a card that, you know, feels familiar to you or makes you feel happy or whatever else, what card would you choose?
Should I say it?
No. most girls would choose the Queen of Hearts, right?
I thought that first, and then I changed
you changed your mind to the Ace of Spades, was it?
No, 7 of Hearts.
7 of Hearts, which is, you know, but yeah. So I got 50% right there. So watch. There's two. This is a version of what's called 3-card Monty. You know what 3-card Monty is? You do?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a card game.
It's a hustler's game.
Not what I was thinking of. It's that deal in New York where you've got a table and they put a table out there and you've got usually 3 cards, 2 are the same and 1's different.
Find the lady.
You have to find the lady, essentially, right? This is a version of that, but it's only using 2 cards, the 2 black aces, right?
Okay.
So you've got the ace of, what's that?
Spades.
Ace of Spades. Can we see this?
Yeah, you look good.
We can? All right, fantastic. So watch. Take the Ace of Spades and hold it between your thumb and forefinger like that, thumb up, nice and loose. Now that card in your hand is what?
The Ace of Spades.
Are you sure?
No.
You should have some confidence in your convictions.
You don't trust me, do you?
No.
Good. You should never trust a magician or someone from England. So take a look.
Or a wrestler.
Take a look at it?
Take a look, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It is. So show the camera as well. It is still the Ace of Spades. All right, watch. So I'm going to take the Ace of clubs, right? Watch. I'm going to take the Ace of clubs and I'm going to swap it for the Ace of Spades. All right, keep it nice and loose. 1, 2, 3. I said loose. There. Now, without looking at that card in your hand, is that the Ace of Spades or the Ace of clubs?
Ace of clubs.
Clubs.
Yeah.
So if I put that one on top, which one's on top?
Ace of Spades.
Spades on top, clubs underneath. If I've changed the order and now clubs are on top, spades are underneath, would you be impressed?
Sure.
But not very. I'm going to have to work pretty hard to impress you. Turn them over, show the camera.
Oh! That was impressive. Okay.
Yeah. And that is the subterfuge and misdirection of one Nigel McGuinness.
There you go.
You can pick up the DVD at nigelwrestling.com. Definitely encourage every single person out there to head on over to the website tonight, today, right now. Don't just order 1 copy, order 2 because you have a friend you're going to want to give one to.
Absolutely.
Yep. If I can also plug Ring of Honor, ROHWrestling.com. It's the company I'm currently working for doing a documentary. If you're going to WrestleMania this year, which many people will, we're doing a couple of shows there. It's going to be an amazing weekend. You know, some of the best wrestling in the world goes on in Ring of Honor. I'm really very proud of the company. So you can go to ROHWrestling.com, and we have a TV show that might be on your local levels as well, so please check that out. But just keep supporting pro wrestling, you know. It's something that we're all very passionate about, we all love, and we love because we get it, you know, and we just want other people to get it too.
And Nigel, are you on Twitter?
I am at McGuinness Nigel. I'm also on Facebook, and I'm also down in Priscilla's coffee shop in Toluca Lake. If anyone wants to come and buy me a
I go there all the time.
Nice, right?
I haven't bumped into you. It's so good.
Wow, there we are.
You guys can share a latte together.
I'll hit you up on Facebook.
Clum, hit up the Twitter and what you got going on.
At Cluminator, this coming Saturday, I will be up in Santa Maria, California for Vendetta Pro Wrestling. And then I will be in Indio, California the following day, the 10th, for Alpha Omega Wrestling.
This guy's traveling all the time now. Showtime, what do you got?
You know, white on rice, you know, getting that action in. Showtime Josh on the Twitter. You know where to find me. Yeah.
Rice balls. Cupcake, what do you got?
You can find me on Twitter at Cathy Kelley.
And that was simple.
That was it.
Other shows. Nigel, you host other shows here on AfterBuzz, don't you?
I did. We just finished This Is How I Made It, and so I'm going to be looking for something different. So follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you know the next thing I'm going to do.
Check me out at I Am Smiley on Twitter or IamSmiley.com online, Facebook.com/IamSmiley. This has been Monday Night Raw's AfterBuzz TV recap show. We got Nigel McGuinness, we got Showtime, we got the Colonel, we got Cupcake, and that's going to be it. Bye-bye, Birdie.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz. See you later. Thank you, Dick.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.